So you want to gather acid and oil while you sleep. I'll show you how to passively get at minimum 288 acid per day and enough crude oil to last the season. Now, it's not going to match the efforts of actively farming acid, obviously, especially if you use things like the preserved deviated chops and other bonuses, but it certainly helps, especially if you're away from the game. Much like in my last video about power generation, it's time to move. Find yourself a spot that has both oil and pollution. The popular spot at the moment is Blackfell oil fields in the north of the map. I've had my house here for over a week now, and the property values have gone right downhill with the recent neighbourhood additions. To find yourself a spot then is the obvious signs on the map for oil, and for pollution you're looking for these washed out brown grey areas on the map. Or you can tell the pollution level by the number display on your backpack. Once you've found yourself a spot, you're going to need water pumps, reverse osmosis purifiers, and the brewing barrel unlocked, and at least 140 watts of power. The pump house itself consists of 10 water pumps, 1 osmosis purifier, and a brewing barrel for the acid, with 4 refineries for crude oil to mixed fuel. There's also an additional water purifier in the kitchen, as we need pure water to brew acid. If you're also going for the Stardust source, you're going to need 1 more pump and an additional 10 watts of power. The pumps we raise high so that we let gravity do all the work for us and we don't need to waste energy on using the smaller pumps. And to do that, we Alt and scroll wheel, and also you can move your camera up and down and it'll raise higher and lower. Recommend doing it by spinning your pump around, so you're looking at it side on, and then spin each individual one just so that you maintain that same height, and you can use the lines of the pumps themselves to make sure everything's aligned nicely. And then we use the gravity, as I said, to feed into these 2 collector tanks. 1 tank alone wouldn't be able to handle all of the outputs from the pumps, so we feed 1 bank into this, another bank into this one, and then feed this one from the top connector into the bottom. And just to quickly show you how that works is I'll pop a container there and then another one on top. If your camera is in the bottom half on the Z axis, then when you press V to connect a pipe, you'll be on this lower output here. They're also bi-directional, so there's no gravity within the container itself. That'll connect up to that one absolutely fine. Get rid of that. If we move the camera up on the Z axis, so we're looking at the top, hit V again and you'll see that it's now coming from this top connector. But as I said, it doesn't factor in that this is actually going against gravity. You can see water is flowing from this top connector down to this tank here. So with those flowing into one, that one then flows into the osmosis purifier, which will turn our polluted water into impure acid and deposit into this container here. And in this container, we've got our impure acid ready to top up our brewing barrel afterwards. For the actual extraction itself, it's RNG every 5 minutes, whether it's going to be oil or the polluted water. This is what comes out. Normally you would get dirty water, or if you're on an oil field, you would also get the dirty water and oil. If you were in a polluted area with no oil, you would get dirty water and polluted water, as far as I'm aware. So from there, that's the passive extraction. Then we'll need to manually load the impure acid into the brewing barrel. And the top tip for this is to wait for it all to gather enough to fill each of these slots. So you want 4,000 to start with. And then once you are set, you can then keep it topped up, because all of these slots will process at the same time. So you'll get 4 acid every 20 minutes. As for the oil, unfortunately, oil doesn't flow through pipes. So even if you did a split connection, it wouldn't matter. We need to manually take the oil out of each. The extraction alternates. As you can see there, we've got 34 oil in each of these. However, it takes an hour at 10:1 for crude oil to portable mixed fuel. So you will always have plenty of crude sat there waiting to be processed. Obviously, you can convert the portable mixed fuel into barrel premium fuel, The oil is just a happy byproduct of where we currently sit. There are certain areas on the map where you will just get the polluted water, but they tend to be on hills and the game gets a bit confused as to what's going on, or the water pump is just above the water table and it only pulls out the polluted water. On the subject of water, we do also need pure water to come in for our brewing barrel. My supply is currently empty in the input, but I've got plenty in my little buffer tank. In Blackfell, you're lucky. There's a couple of water sources nearby. Sit in the water, fill up your inventory. You can take your 4x4, your off-roader, and load up the inventory of that. Bring it back. Dump it all in this top tank. Let it all purify. And so far, I've had no issues with running both my brewing barrel and my sprinkler for my crops. If you were lucky enough to obtain the memetic specialization for Stardust water pumps, you could put that 288 acid per day towards generating Stardust source. Make some batteries, which cost 20 acid per, and then you get 80 Stardust source per battery. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and found it useful, please leave a like. And if you want more tips, tricks, and guides for Once Human, please do subscribe. You can also join my new Discord, link down below. And until the next one, my fellow mayflies, beware the fridges.